Welcome, Freedom Lifestyle Investors, to this podcast. We're so excited to talk about today's topic, which is how to flip your $1,000 into $10,000. We sent you guys an email last week and asked you guys, how would you spend $1,000 if we gave it to you? And so we hope you guys thought about it, and we had some responses, and we'll get into that later on in the podcast today, but we're just so excited to be talking about this topic today.
Yeah, guys, I feel like Ashley has on her sexy radio voice right now. That's why I was like, yeah, you can start it off because it sounds really good. Now I'm playing. Yeah, guys, we're really excited about this topic. That was off topic, but we're excited really about this topic because I think it's something that everybody can do. I'm sure you've come across $1,000, something that you felt like even if you're somebody who feel like you're working a 9 to 5 and you're not barely making it, you're going to come across $1,000. And then for other people who you have $1,000 to waste, or you got $1,000 that you just you don't mind losing, then we're going to be discussing some ways that people typically use $1,000, and then also some ways that you can flip your $1,000 if that's what you're looking to do. So hopefully we provide you with some information here today that you can go out and use immediately every time when we're speaking with you on these podcasts, or if you're watching us on video on our website. We always want to be able to leave you with some actionable steps that you can actually go out there and do. So we're not having these podcasts just to give you some motivational speech to pipe you up, and then you go about your day and your energies eventually return back to where they are. We actually want you to do some actionable steps that's going to take you into further places and help you to be able to reach your goals, and that's what we're passionate about doing it. So let's get into this presentation, and this is what we have topic to talk to you guys about today. And we're talking about how to flip your $1,000 into $10,000. Now, we're not giving you any type of time frame on that. This isn't a income promise. Like this is a disclosure right from the door. We're not promising you that you're definitely going to turn your $1,000 into $10,000, and we're not saying in what time frame you'll be able to do that, but we're just going to have a discussion here. All right, so just wanted to put that quick disclaimer out before we got started. So let's get into some answers that we actually received from folks. So what we did was Ashley put out on her Instagram story and asked this question, that if we gave you $1,000, how would you spend it? We also sent out an email to our email list of people that follow us on different avenues, and we asked this question to those folks as well and asked for an honest response on what you would do with it. And I think we had some interesting responses that we're going to just talk about a little bit, and after that we're going to talk about just typically how most Americans spend their money and where they would be likely to spend $1,000. So let's talk about some real situations about what people actually answered.
Yeah, I was gonna pull it up, but my service is bad right now. But I did ask, and a few people said they were going to use the money to spend on bills, and they feel like that was a priority because they were behind. One person said they would use it to open up a restaurant, and I had another person that said that they would donate half of it to their church, and then the other half they was going to spend on their family. And so those are the interesting answers that I got from my story. Some people was actually really excited about getting $1,000, thinking I was having like a giveaway. So I'm like, oh gosh, like you guys are expecting me to give you $1,000? Okay. But it was a really good response actually. So
yeah, I think we had a really interesting response from one of our email followers where they were actually saying that they were going to put it and invest it into real estate in their real estate business, and they had very specific ways on where they were going to invest that $1,000 and which avenues and which type of return they were looking to get from it. So I thought it was probably the most excellent answer that we received as far as answers was concerned. So I can't remember who that person was exactly, but we definitely
thank you for responding back to our emails. Make sure everybody else read them and respond to them so that your answers can be told too here, because you never know who may have the same answer. So I'm just so excited that you guys responded. So yeah, that was like the best response that we've gotten so far about investing in, and very specifically where you're going to invest it into. So that was really great.
Yeah, definitely, guys. So let's talk a little bit about how Americans typically would spend $1,000. So we, of course, we didn't get to hear from everyone. This wasn't like a real official survey that we sent out there. But luckily, the United States have their own surveys that they put out every single year. This one was from back in 2016 that we're going to discuss with you right now. But typically, when Americans are spending their hard-earned income, what they do is they either spend it in housing, with about 33% of income is actually spent on housing. And so housing, the category housing actually includes entertainment, and it includes times where you go out to eat. It includes your bills and your housing expenses. So all of those things are consumed inside of that category housing. And so that's a big chunk. We spend more than a third, well, typically Americans spend more than a third of their income just on housing and living and things like that. Then the second category that Americans typically spend their money on is transportation. That's 16%. Food shopping, that's 13%. Pensions and insurance is 11%. Healthcare is 8%. Other category, we don't know what other is inside of other, but that's 7%. Entertainment is 5% of the income spent, and apparel and services are 3%, which I feel like is really low for apparel and services. But this is basically typically in 2016 from the Census Bureau what they say that Americans typically spend their income on. But if you notice, I don't know if anybody noticed, but investing isn't on the list at all. So that was something that I noticed right away, that when it comes to a typical American, they're not really putting it in a way where the money would come back to them. All of these things are expenses that people are genuinely just putting out and not receiving anything back from it. So us as Freedom Lifestyle investors, we've been trying to switch that upside down as far as our mind frame is concerned, and trying to reprogram ourselves into thinking in those type of ways now. And so that was definitely something on the list that I found was pretty interesting.
Alright guys, so now it's time for a poll question. So the first poll question is, how did you spend the last $1,000 you had in your possession? 1, I don't remember how I spent it. 2, I spent it on family activities. Sorry guys, I can't talk today. 3, I invested it. So once again, the question is, how did you spend the last $1,000 you had in your possession? The answers that you can choose are, I don't remember how I spent it. I spent it on family activities. I invested it. So which one did you guys do with the last $1,000 in your possession? I guess I can answer this question. So the last $1,000 that I had in my possession, I actually invested it. So my answer would be number 3. But depending on you, it could be other answers, but I actually invested my last $1,000 that I had. What about you?
Yeah, I think we actually invested into the same thing. We invested because we actually signed up for a Thai school, and so we're going to learn Thai. We're here in Thailand still. We're going to be here for quite some time. We're doing some investments out here in Thailand and doing a lot of networking and things like that. So learning Thai is going to be so beneficial for us in our business and our investing and just us communicating, and it's going to be very vital. So we're not only going to put in the money to be able to sign up for this course, which of course wasn't as cheap as I thought it was going to be, but we're also going to put in the time. It's going to take us, it's going to take us a few years. We're not over ambitious, so we're not thinking that we're going to just learn Thai the snap of a finger. It's going to be easy. We do know it's going to take some again, reprogramming of our mind as far as our past, and maybe not being as successful as we had liked to have been on learning different languages back in high school and things like that. But right now, we're saying right now today, things are different. Like, we're going to learn how to speak a different language. We don't care what it takes. We're putting in that commitment. We're putting in the time, the money to be able to make it happen. And so our last $1,000, that's actually how we invested it into ourselves. But in turn, it's actually going to be an investment into our business, and everything and everyone around us is going to benefit. So yeah, that's kind of how we spent our last $1,000.
And before that, we invested it. Before that, it was just like, here you go. Sorry. But the $1,000 before that, we actually used to invest it into Forex too. So, we invested that as well to make more residual income. So, yeah, like, it's okay to, like I said, invest into yourself as long as it's beneficial to where you're trying to go and where you're headed. So, this next slide is about the difference between spending, saving, and investing. What is investing? Investing is the act of committing money or capital to an endeavor, a business project, real estate, etc., with the expectation of obtaining an additional income or profit. Investing also can include the amount of time you put into the study of a prospective company or study of self. This is from Investopedia.com.
Yeah, guys. So we just wanted to put up of course, the definition of investing first, so we can kind of, get our minds working on that side of things. As we see, most of the time we're used to spending. We're probably not as used to saving as we are spending, but there's definitely a difference between all three. And so usually when we're spending, it doesn't take much thought, or we don't put as much thought as we should into spending. A lot of time we're spend just off of pure emotions. Like, you'll see something and you like it, you love it, you wanted it, you desired it, you'll just, go out and actually just spend the money that you worked hard for. You'll go out and you'll just spend it, and you won't really think about anything other than just, I spent it because I wanted, that item, or that, whatever it is, service or whatever you wanted. You just think about spending at that time. And so a lot of times we get things that just don't give us back a return, for the spending. And sometimes it doesn't even give us anything to show for it other than a quick gratification. A lot of times it would do. So even if it's not a return in money, even if it gives you a return on time, or return in some type of emotional gratification, or return in you learning a new skill or learning about yourself. And, it's all types of ways that you can, think about it a little bit more deeply. But the difference between spending and then saving, of course, you have saving, which is almost like you're telling yourself that you can't have something. It seems like sometimes when you're saving, like, you're restricting yourself from things that you usually want, you usually desire, with a mind frame of, I'm going to save it for later. Whether or not it's to save it for a rainy day, or whether or not it's save it for an exact item or trip, or, something that you wanted, that you have to save for because it costs more than what you have coming in consistently. So you want to put what you have coming in consistently to the side, so that can build up, so that you can buy something that's bigger later. Or sometimes you'll save it with really an intention of being able to receive something back. So you may sign up for an interest-bearing savings account or something like that, where you do have intentions on receiving something back for your savings, but usually that's something really minor and mediocre as far as the return that they're going to give you on the interest of a savings account. So we really wouldn't put that into the category of investing. That's more so in the category of putting it into a savings account, right? And then we have investing. So the spending, the saving, and investing, if we can, they're all useful, of course. Like, you're going to have different reasons on why you do all three, but we wanted to add in and really stamp into your mind right now the idea of investing. And you can really think of investing as, you can, when you're thinking about spending, you can start thinking about investing. Like, am I investing right now when I'm spending? What return am I going to get from that, whether or not it's emotionally, financially, or time-wise? Even when you're saving, you can think about investing. Like, am I saving this money for something that's going to ultimately give me some type of return on investment? And so investing can really fit in all of those categories, and you can start thinking about that first before you spend, before you save, before you, of course, do some type of risky investment. You want to think about what type of return you're going to actually receive from that. And so in later episodes, we're going to get into even more detail about investing, because this is something that we do full-time. We're full-time investors. That's the message that we have for you on thinking like investors, becoming an investor. If you already are an investor, maximizing your return on investment. Those are the things that we plan on talking to you guys with consistently, as we do this consistently. That's what we do. And so we can talk about some ways that you can actually invest the $1,000 to be able to turn it into $10,000. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to invest, right? If we think about investing, or the typical investing ways that we do think about, the things that come to mind is usually like, you can buy a CD. You can go to the bank and you buy a CD. They'll promise you a certain return on your investment. That's typically anywhere from 6 months to 6 years that you're going to put your money into that CD account, and they're going to give you anywhere from like 1% to 3% on your money annually. Right? And so a CD is something that's a really low risk investment, and it's almost, to me, in the category of saving a little bit, because you're still kind of putting your investment into someone else's hands, and they're going to give you, but because it's low risk, it gives you a lower return, but it's almost to the point where you know your $1,000 is pretty much going to be safe. You're not going to typically just lose it overnight. It's not a high risk investment. And so with the CDs, if you're willing to put your money from 6 months to 6 years and get, 1% to 3% on your money within that time frame, then that might be something for you. And let's, to put that into perspective, because I'm a visual person and I like numbers and math. Let's say you took your $1,000 right now and you put it inside of a CD. Well, what happened is next year you'll make $30, and that's at the high end. That's the 3% CD. Not the 1%. 1% you'll make $10. But let's say you have a really high CD as far as your interest is concerned, and it's at 3%. You'll make $30 next year, and then you have to think about the compounding. So let's say you're on a 5 or 6 year plan. That first year you have $30. That next year you'll have about $31 that you added on to your already $30. So that'll be $1,060. Then the next year you'll make $33 because of the interest that you're putting the 3% on now. Your $10,060 is now going to turn into $10,092 that third year. And then as you go along, so as you can see, you only made about $100 in 3 years off of your investment, but it's guaranteed. It's low risk. You're going to get that $100 in 3 years, but is it really going to provide you some type of return on investment that's going to change your life almost? But then you can look at CDs on another way, right? Let's say we're not talking about the $1,000 investment. That's something simple. That's something, like I said, I know everybody has $1,000 of coming to $1,000 that you can you can almost throw it away, or you have thrown it away before. And so that's why we wanted to talk about just something simple as $1,000 investment. But let's say you have $1 million of an investment, right? That's why people do consider CDs, because you won't lose your $1 million if you put it into a CD, and then your 3% on $1 million is $30,000 for the year. Now some people make $30,000 as an income for the year, and so you're putting your $1 million into a CD account, and you're making $30,000 on your $1 million, right? That next year it turns into $1,030,000, and you get an extra $31,000. And you add that to your, every year. And so you're making that $31,000, $32,000, $33,000, as it goes along, more and more every year on your $1 million for those 6 years. And so, of course, if you have an abundance of money you just want to put to the side and have it make some money but be very low risk, we would recommend things like that. But then you also have to think about the bank that you're handing that $1 million to. You better believe that the bank is making way more than 3% on your money. They're giving you 3%. But they're going to use your $1 million, and they're going to invest your $1 million in the ways that we're about to talk to you about right now. This is what the bank would do with your money. And so these are the things that we're telling you to get into, to learn how to do, to start doing right now, whether or not you doing it yourself or someone who does do it and getting involved with it. These are ways that you can really turn your $1,000 into something really life-changing. Or if you're someone who has that $1 million, you can put it into one of these avenues to really make, high returns. Now, it's a little bit more risky, depending on your experience, depending on, the type of investments that you choose. But these 5 things right here, like I said, these are the ways that banks are reinvesting your money if you have it inside of the bank right now. So the number one thing, of course, that we love ourselves.
We love this one. This is our number one, which is real estate. Woohoo!
So real estate was our first time learning about investing, getting into investing, seeing that we can turn a little bit into a whole lot. Like that's why we get super excited when we talk about real estate, because it was our first baby.
Our first baby.
And so us learning real estate has pretty much not only changed our life, but it's going to change our kids' life and our family's life. And the more that we learn and apply the knowledge that you even get from real estate has just been, I would recommend anyone, even if you don't have a passion in it, so-called passion. People are like, oh, I don't have a passion in doing it. It's not about passion. It's literally about skill and about knowledge and about, learning something that can benefit you for just long-termly, not just yourself. Just learning the skill can really, when you have the grit and the guts to really get out there and do it, like I said, it's a little bit higher risk than something like a CD or a government bond or a corporate bond. Those type of things are less risky, yes, but they're going to give you lower return. Real estate is something that can just, depending on how you do real estate, and we're going to talk about that in future shows about different ways that you can invest into real estate and all of the different, avenues that you have and which way really fits your lifestyle. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but real estate is definitely something that you want to have on your dial plate for sure. All right. The next one is currencies and commodities. And we love trading currencies or buying currencies and holding on to them. So you can buy and hold currencies and commodities, or you can trade currencies and commodities. And that is something that we feel like once you get to that phase, you'll have to have a little bit of money in order to make money. Real estate is something where we found out, ourselves, that you can make real estate happen without any money. It's weird. Like we have to talk about that with you guys later. We could talk about it all day. But with currencies, you are going to have some money to be able to put into, to be able to trade it or to be able to buy it and hold it to be able to make a return. But you can make a crazy amount of return from trading currencies in the right way. But it is going to take a little bit of skill. You have to learn some skill. It might even take you risking $1,000 a few times. Like you might lose your $1,000 a few times, but better believe when you do figure out how to flip it, you're going to flip it to 10,000 and beyond when you can actually figure that out. So it is a little bit higher risk. You have to be willing to almost throw that $1,000 away, or it's not like you need the money. Like don't trade currencies if it's like I need to make this money right now. If it's a good chance, that you may lose it and it may be detrimental to you, then I wouldn't recommend that you put the $1,000 into currencies or trading currencies unless you really know what you're doing or you're really working with someone that knows what they're doing to do currencies. The other way that you can use your $1,000 to flip into $10,000 is you can put it into your own business. All right, and when we talk about your own business, that's something that you have a passion at, that you naturally do well, that you have a gift to the world to share, and it's like your duty to be able to put that passion out there and to help other people as far as your knowledge is concerned. You create a business around your passion, and then you can also put that $1,000 into marketing your business or putting it into your business in other type of ways. But we feel like marketing, putting the $1,000 into marketing the business is the quickest way to be able to get a return versus other ways we can put money into our business. All types of like business, like when you're building your own business, it takes a long time, right? It's not something that happens overnight. Now, it can. There's some miracle businesses that have happened overnight, but usually businesses take a lot of grit and time and money put into your business. And so that's something that you're going to have to take a little bit of time to do, but it's totally worth it because it's almost like about you. It's about your passion. It's about what you're about, your mission. And so, like I said, it's your duty to put it out there regardless of the time frame it takes. But if you want to be able to flip that $1,000 to have the quickest return, then you want to be able to put it into marketing. All right, so if you market your business in the right way, and right now we have all types of avenues to do it, but specifically, let's say online. If you put that $1,000 into marketing yourself online, whether that's Facebook or Google or whatever, millions of other ways you can market yourself online. You can do influencers. There's so many ways right now that you can put that $1,000 into that marketing and then snap your fingers, and you can now have income coming in from whatever service that you provide or product that you provide for your business. And that's definitely a way that you can turn your $1,000 into $10,000. All right. The other way is to be able to put your $1,000 into future businesses that will advance industries or the world. And so you have your own business that you have and you put your time and your passions into, and then other people have businesses that they've started around their passion, that they're spending their time and their energy and their love for things and their knowledge and expertise. They're putting their business and passions out there to the world. If it's something that aligns with you and your business and your passions and what you're about, and you totally align with that business, then you can be a finance to that business, put your money into that business for a certain type of percentage of return, and then you can start to actually make income from someone else's passion, someone else's time, someone else's skills. And so we always look at that as that's one of the best things you can do once you do have enough capital that you can start lending to other people. Again, this is what banks do all the time, right? They're taking your $1,000 or your $1 million, whatever you put into that bank, and now they're lending it out to businesses, lending it out to people who are trying to buy real estate. They're lending it out to, just that's what they're doing. You can be that bank. You can get those returns that the bank usually get if you can pick the right businesses at the right time. Of course, it takes a little bit of skill as well. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is developing yourself and your personal skills. So you can take that $1,000 and you can hire a mentor, you can buy courses, you can sign up for a certain skill or a class or school that's going to specifically give you a skill that's going to give you a return. So developing yourself can be as something simple as meditating. It don't take you any money to meditate, right? But if you're talking about investing and actually putting monetary money into yourself, you can buy books, you can buy audio courses, and flood your subconscious mind with the right thoughts, with the right mind frame, and in return, that's going to develop yourself to the point where you can attract everything else. Everything else is going to line up for you to be able to be successful. Because if you don't have your mind right and yourself right, you can try all of these things and you can absolutely fail if you don't have yourself right first. So even though we have this last on the list, it's actually the first thing that we would recommend, investing into yourself first, so that way when you do get into the other things, you have your mind right, your foundation is good, your energies are good, your skill level is good, and so at that point now you can start to invest in some of those higher risk avenues, and things will start to line up for you. You start to be successful. All right, so those are the 5 things that we love to invest as freedom lifestyle investors. We like using these avenues not only because they give us a big and fast return, but then also because it helps us and provides us with a freedom and a lifestyle that we love living, that we crafted our life to be able to do. And we use these tools right here. That we're going to talk a little bit more about it to you guys as we go along. We're going to dive into actually each of these, and we're here with you. Like, we're here investing in these things with you. We're available for you to contact us, to be able to invest with us, or for us to be able to show you some of these ways, and that's why we're doing this.
Absolutely. All right, so the second poll question is, how will you invest your next $1,000? So hopefully with what we just talked about, you can choose an avenue to invest your next $1,000. So the options are 1, real estate, 2, currencies and commodities, 3, businesses, or 4, savings account. So once again, how will you invest your next $1,000? Will it be in real estate? Will it be in currencies and commodities? Will it be in businesses? Will it be in savings account? So which one would you choose? I guess I'll tell my answer. I guess it's motivation. The next investment, my $1,000, I think I will invest it into 2 currencies and commodities. And I think so because we've already been consistently investing into currencies, and so I definitely want to continue that. And also commodities, I just think that's really, really good to get into. So I think I would just continue what I'm going. I think that we spent so much time with the real estate to the point that we actually perfected it, and now we have it automated, so we don't have to even worry about it. So it's not really no point to already invest more than what we already invest in. And with businesses, I feel like I'm not really quite there yet. I haven't really found the greatest startup businesses yet, but I'm getting there to find the ones that's going to soar with a $1,000 investment. So I definitely would choose 2. Which one would you choose to invest your next $1,000 in?
Yeah, I guess I actually agree with you with number 2. The one that I really want that's not on the list, where I was thinking wow, I didn't add that answer, was to investing into yourself. And I feel like the next $1,000, I definitely have some things just about myself that I see myself actually doing, especially out here in Thailand. There's a lot of things available that you can do to help you, help your mind, help your skill level, meditation or Muay Thai, or even just cosmetic wise. It's all types of things that you can really do out here that's available, and I definitely want to be able to be myself as much as possible, be my best self as much as possible, and I definitely want to be able to invest my next investment into myself. But then also currencies and commodities. I've really been working hard every single day to get better at not only knowing how to read technical analysis, but also fundamental analysis and economics and all types of stuff that I didn't even think I would need after you go into college and you go through those courses and you think, I don't need this stuff. And I was like, I wish I'd have paid more attention in those classes, because now using it for investment purposes has just been, it's really been expanding my mind on the way an economy works, and the way the world operates, and what money really is, and what it means, and how it exchanges, and how countries actually even survive off of certain imports and exports and all types. Man, it's just, I can go. It's just crazy the amount of information that I'm now learning that I wasn't really exposed to growing up, or at least if I was exposed to it, I wasn't paying attention enough. I'll just say that. And so now I'm just getting into an investing mind frame. What the knowledge that I've been learning about currencies and commodities is definitely we want to put it there. We're not putting a time frame on when we receive it back. We just know for sure that that's an investment where it's going to come back, not only in the money that we're putting towards it, but also the time and the energy of the knowledge that we're learning with that. So definitely, I agree with that. All right, guys, so let's talk a little bit about some time management. so that you can be super productive. And so we talked about some investing, we talked about some action steps on the ways that you can invest. But this is almost like a part of it's like a personal development part of your investing, is to be able to stay really, really clear and focused so that your time is used wisely. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but some people are more successful than others with their time. And that's really the only difference, is besides, of course, putting your money in the right place. The other half of that is putting your time in the right place. And those things go hand in hand when it comes down to investing. All right, so let's talk about how you can invest your time, right? So you want to start your day with a clear focus. That can be a lot of different things, and it's really dependent on you. Everybody, I can tell you my routine, but my routine might not work for you, or our routine, because we're married, you know.
Yeah,
so
everything's together.
yeah, so our routine is actually both of us, we follow it, but we've crafted our routine from trial and error, from goals that we have right now that we want to achieve, and sometimes those things will change as far as our goals and our focuses of what we want to be able to determine as a clear routine for our day. But when I start, like for example, when I start my day, I'm waking up and I'm meditating immediately. I'm visualizing what I want, what I like to achieve, what that looks like. We're eating right. We're eating fruits and vegetables in the morning, non-cooked foods. Immediately after that, we're going to the gym. We're working out. You know, we have conversations while we're eating about our energies and about us. We're like just basically almost thought-provoking questions in order to get our juices rolling. We're asking ourselves some questions. So that's just, us kind of sharing our morning and how we start our day off with y'all. But like I said, our routine may not be what's best for you or what's best for you and your relationship or family. You have to really come up with something that fits you guys, but come up with it purposeful. Right? Be very clear and focus what your intentions are and where you're trying to go and what your goal is of doing these certain tasks. And then when you're clear and you're focused and you really know what you're doing and why, then make it a routine. All right? Then do it consistently so you can actually reach your goal. And then you want to be able to have a dynamic task list. Okay, so if you're someone who already keeps checklists, you already know that it seems like an endless checklist. As soon as you start checking things off, more stuff gets added. And so it is like, don't get discouraged by that, basically. That's what I can say after making checklists now myself for years and years and years. It's really like, it's a never ending. Don't feel like you're eventually going to check off everything in your checklist and put your feet up and now you're good, living a life forever. Like, it's always going to be a checklist. It's every day. It's going to be a new one, or it's going to be stuff that you didn't achieve from the day before. Keep it like what they say, dynamic. Keep it going, keep it dynamic, and then prioritize which ones is most important. And that's one of the most important things we're doing to do in a checklist. Prioritize, and then also listen to yourself on what you're most motivated in accomplishing. Or some people work well if they do the difficult things first. Some people work well if they can just relax and do the minor things first. It's really up to you. You got to make it what's best for you. All right, so definitely have a checklist, a task list, so you can know what things you have to achieve for the day, for the month, for the year, long term, short term. You want all of those. All right. You also want to focus on high value activities. So that kind of comes into almost similar to what I said about the prioritizing your list. But if you think about high value activities, it's something that usually sometimes I'll put it in a way also where income producing activities. So high value activities can be something that you're receiving a high value from. It's not an activity that you're doing that you really ain't gonna get nothing from. You're just doing it to pass time, to shoot the bricks, and basically life is really passing you by. It's not really an activity that's giving you anything that's productive. And so when you do make your to-do list, make sure you focus on activities that's going to give you a high value. All right, and if you're someone who's into, actually producing an income from your activities, then choose the activities that are going to have the income producing activity. So that's an activity that's actually going to produce you an income in return. And every other activity can be outsourced, or somebody else can be responsible for doing that if you delegate it in the right way. But your focus should be focusing on the things that's going to give you the most value. All right. You also want to minimize interruptions. We don't have to get into detail with what interruptions can do for your time management. It throws off everything. Like, sometimes it's out of your control. We actually talked about that not too long ago. Yeah, we talked about that just this morning.
Yeah, we just talked about it this morning where we ended up just taking a random trip. A few weeks ago, we had to do a visa run, and it was unexpected that we had to go to a different country to do the visa run. So we ended up going and kind of threw us off on our routine coming back here to Thailand, where we have an everyday routine, and it kind of just interrupted our whole pattern. We were just behind on a lot of different things. It was just like kind of a little chaotic for just a second. Then I got sick. It was just a lot of different things going on at one time, where kind of interrupted our pattern, so it wasn't as productive as probably had wanted to be. So then it was just like, okay, how can we manage through future interruptions or things like that? So coming down with a solid plan is what we're doing now, actually trying to figure those things out and move forward. But the next task is stop procrastinating. That's another one that I feel like I relate to a lot. I used to be a huge procrastinator, but then I think it's just popped in my head one day. It's just like, if you're procrastinating, you're wasting so much time when you could have already been did it and done it. And it's like, okay, if I do it, I can have this great result, versus if I don't do it, I'm in the same place. So it's like, okay, you are controlling where you are. And if you're unhappy about where you are, you have to make these decisions, and it's no time to procrastinate because you don't know how much time you have left. So if you're procrastinating this moment, who knows, God forbid something happen the next moment, now you're unable to even do the activity. So you can't really procrastinate at all. I won't be unrealistic and tell you that you won't procrastinate, but sometimes you got to talk yourself off of that ledge and still move forward. And so now I'm at a stage where I do not procrastinate. As soon as I want to make a decision, I make it. The only time I do is I thoroughly think things through, and that's a little bit different. Well, it's a lot different than procrastinating. So definitely try not to procrastinate too much at all. If you can stop it completely, like how this says, stop it, it will really help you with your time management and being super productive. And then we'll do next task.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about the next one. It's basically limiting your multitasking. And I think the reason why I feel like I'm a good person to talk about this one is because she totally believes that I don't do good at multitasking. Like, she hates if I try to multitask and do two things at one time. And then when I think about it from my own perspective, it's like, I feel like I'm good at multitasking, but then I think about it and I'm like, you're not really that good at multitasking. Even though in my head I feel like I'm maximizing my time. I feel like if I have an hour that I'm going to put towards something, then if I do two things in that hour versus one thing in that hour, then I should be like super duper productive, right? Because I'm doing two things in an hour versus just focusing on that one thing. But when it turns around, I didn't really put my attention 100% into either one. So neither one of them is like excellent. Like, I didn't do excellent on either one, so I'm not as productive as I thought I was, because if I did one of them excellent during that hour, then I would have had a greater return from the task that I did versus me doing two things halfway, barely, keeping my attention on one or the other. And those two things now aren't giving me the productiveness that I wanted or the return that I wanted because I didn't really focus all the way on that one task. And so I've really literally been learning this recently. Like, just most recently, we decided that when we're doing our morning routine that we shared with you guys, we're just focusing on that one task. And I think the thing that stood out to us the most when we did that is while we were working out. Usually when we work out, we usually have headphones in, you listening to music, you watching some TV shows, I'm listening to some audio sometimes, or learning trading Forex while I'm working out, barely paying attention to my body, barely paying attention to my form, barely paying attention to the routine that I'm doing, just half-heartedly going through the motions, not, contracting the right muscles and focusing on that one muscle that you're working out, and that muscle doing all the work and not your secondary muscles adding into that. Like, that takes a lot of mental focus during your workout. And so that was the biggest difference that we found, just physically, like, almost dawning on us, like, you know what? Multitasking isn't as productive as we thought versus putting all your attention and doing that one thing really good. And so we literally just work out for like 20 minutes in the morning, but after we're done, we're so much more like just sweating, and like the muscles is worked out so much more harder just off of those 20 minutes because we focused intently for those 20 minutes on the right muscle, on the right form, on not taking big breaks and making sure our intensity is in the right way. It's crazy, guys. It's really crazy the difference that we feel. And we shortened our workout time. Before we would work out for an hour or sometimes more, but it wasn't intently. right? We were multitasking while we was doing it. We was half-heartedly just going around, taking breaks, looking at the scenery, coming back, taking, it's just, and then when we shortened that hour to 20 minutes and focused intently on our workout, on our body, on that muscle, it's just been a difference that we can't even explain to you guys. We ain't trying to like take off our shirt and be like, yeah, look at all the muscles in the workout. It's like we just started, a month two ago, going really hard like that, and we can definitely see a difference. And so multitasking is definitely something I would recommend that you limit doing it. Even though I was somebody who thought that I was being more productive by doing 2 tasks at one time, but I've been finding lately that that's not the case. All right, and the last thing, as far as your time management is concerned, that we're going to talk about is reviewing your day at the end of the day. Like we like to call it debrief. Like sometimes we'll go out in the balcony and maybe we'll smoke or do certain things like that. And while we're reviewing our day, we're literally just going over the tasks that happened during the day, either how we could have did it better or what went right, or how we can follow up on what we did do to continue on with the goals and make sure our goals are achieved, and where either one of us need help with or to step in with, and we kind of review our day so that we can be better the next day. That's the point of reviewing your day, instead of just continuing on with the same things that's not working over and over and over again because it's not discussed or it's not brought to the forefront or to your attention, and where you didn't remember certain things that you wanted to do or how to do it.
Yeah, I feel like reviewing your day is very important, just so that you're also able to see, the things that you did not do or things that you did do or how you should have done things. Like that came to mind, like when you're younger, like you have a thought like, oh man, like, somebody like said something to you and you want to come back but you had nothing to say, but then like when you think about it, like, oh, I could have just said this. So it's like, oh, okay, you have to think about what you did throughout the day and what you could have done better, so that way you can move forward in a better light and with those learned lessons, because that's why they're there for you to be able to learn learn to be able to put back into what you're doing. So reviewing your day is very, very important to be able to be productive that day and the day next day. And then also, you never know, your mistakes unless you look back, what you did. And it's not always mistakes either. There's some positive things that you probably have done for the day that had an effect. So look at the positive things too and continue to do those positive things so that you can get that gratification and that positive energy that you feel. So reviewing your day is definitely important. And I think that's the most important thing before you go to sleep to do, is definitely review your day and take in those lessons. All right, so it's time for the third poll question. What do you struggle with the most? Is it time management? I never have enough time. 2, balancing work, family, and investing. 3, staying focused and motivated. Once again, what do you struggle with the most? Is it time management? Is it balancing work, family, and investing? Or is it staying focused and motivated? Definitely answer one of those questions and choose which one. And there's definitely some ways to work through those avenues from what we just talked about earlier. I'm pretty sure you can research and see other different options or templates for time management, how to go through that. And also we have some blogs and self-help books that will help you with that. And, with balancing work, family, and investing, it is a balance. You have a lot going on and only one person. However, like Trey said, it's 24 hours in a day. And so when you figure out which hours are productive for you, then you can balance out, okay, these hours for family work, these hours for work works, and then hours like this invest. Or just know your investing style. If you're someone that invests either risky or you got to be there every single day? Is it something that you can just do one day and kind of leave it alone? Just figure out what works best for you. So balancing may require some change, and that's okay, as long as you get the goal done. And then staying focused and motivated. Everyone struggles from this from time to time. But as long as you remember your goal, it should constantly motivate you. And if you're not motivated, change your environment for you to be motivated. And I think that's what we've done. Being here in Thailand, we're constantly looking at the beach. We're right here on the beach. We have infinity pools, and even right now I'm just looking at the pool and the beach, and this is the exact image that motivates me every single day, looking at this. And we created this. It was a time where we didn't have these things, and we visualized it and set it to be so, had it on vision boards, talked about it, saw it on TV, like every little thing. And so you have to figure out what motivates you and then surround yourself by these things or those people.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like if I had to answer the question myself right now, is, what do I struggle with the most right now? And I think it would be number 3, because we actually just had this discussion this morning, and it was almost like the message of the week for us was the motivation and staying motivated and staying focused. Because like we said, sometimes things happen and you kind of get interruptions and things kind of knock you off your routine or where you was going. But in order for you to keep going, you have to get back focused. You have to get yourself back motivated, and that may take different ways for you to get there. And the message of the week for us has been gaining clarity on what your actual goal is. If you are clear on what your intentions are, and we had to change our basically our message sometimes. Like sometimes we have to change our methods, our way of doing things. Sometimes we have to change those in order to stay motivated and clear. And it's like, what? I was doing my business in this type of way. I wasn't truly motivated on keeping it going. But when I change my message, or if I change the way I do this, or if I get back in, this almost like a fire desire mode in order to be able to put out certain services in a certain type of way again, that can get you moving into you taking action. And so action comes from motivation. The motivation comes from your clarity and your focus. And so when you clear, you're like, I definitely want to achieve that. I see it clearly. Like she said, we created almost this lifestyle here that we're living in Thailand from a vision board and from talking about it and meditating and visualizing. And these things took years for us to do in order for us to achieve what we have right now. But that's the same thing of that motivated us to take action. And so because it was so clear to us, we saw this in our minds before we saw it in person. And it was so clear, it kept us motivated. It kept us going. Even when things seemed like they wasn't going to happen, we still was so clear and focused. It helped us to stay motivated to take action, to keep moving towards it. And so that's the same thing that you want to do with your family. That's the same thing you want to do with your business. If you want to be clear on your goals, be clear on what you're doing, that's going to help you to stay focused. That's going to help you to stay motivated. And in turn, that's going to help you to be able to continue to take action. All right. So that's definitely what I want to discuss with you guys today on that third one. All right. So now we have some next actionable steps that we feel like you guys should do leaving today as we move forward. All right, so you want to write down your answers to the questions that we asked today. So the poll questions that we do it every time that we're doing this podcast with you. We really want you to answer these poll questions, write them down for yourself, reflect on them, think about what they mean to you, how you can either change yourself or motivate yourself to be able to keep going in the direction that you're going towards your goals. Definitely take these questions to heart, because we do ourselves, and it helps us out. Want to visualize what your investment portfolio will look like in 10 to 20 years. We talk a lot about visualizations. That's because they truly 100%, no doubt about it, work. If you can visualize yourself in a certain place or at a certain place and actually feel like you're already there, the emotions that you feel when you're already there, how that looks, you're actually experiencing it almost like your senses are already there, experiencing it physically. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real, reality and fake, or, just you visualizing and actual reality. It doesn't know the difference. It thinks you already have it. And so what it's going to do is going to attract the things that it thinks that you already have, because you're vibrating on that level at that point. When you visualize, you actually almost vibrate with that environment that you're trying to achieve, if you can take yourself and actually project yourself there. And so do that with your investment portfolio. What does that look like in 10 to 20 years? Start mapping it out. Start feeling like you already have those things. You're already doing it. It's already for you. Like think about it in that type of way, and that's when you're definitely going to be able to achieve those things. You want to prioritize which resources you need in chronological order. And so when you have your goals, a lot of things we miss when we come up with ideas or we come up with goals. We never think about the steps and the resources that you need in the order that you need them in order to reach that goal. You just say, you see this goal is all the way up there, and you all the way, where you are right now. You're like, well, how the heck am I going to get all the way there? You're not the first person to try to achieve this goal. You can usually go back and look at somebody else's steps, or you can hire a mentor or somebody that's already up there to pull you up. But there's usually specific resources in a specific order, almost like making a cake. When you're making a cake, you got to have certain ingredients. You got to put those ingredients in a certain order for you to have a beautiful, a cake that tastes, delicious. It's the same thing with your dreams and your goals. You got to prioritize your resources that you need, put your ingredients together, and then put it in the right order, and then bang, you automatically got a goal that you achieved. And then you want to be able, your next actionable steps is we like you to choose your first wealth investment vehicle to focus on. And if it isn't your first vehicle, then your next vehicle. If you're already a real estate investor, or you're already a currency investor, or you're already a business owner, what's the next wealth investment vehicle that you're going to focus on? All right, now we're a firm believer in focusing on one at a time, but we're also a firm believer in making all 5 of these work for you. And it's like it's hard to explain how freeing it is to be able to have all of these skills on your dial plate as you as an investor, to be able to know how to do all 5 of those things or have all of them in your portfolio. But like I said, if it's not your first wealth investment, what's your next one? What's the next one you're going to learn that you're going to become a master of, that you're going to be able to diversify your portfolio and be able to make, a lifestyle for you and your family for generations to come? What's that next one for you? All right, so that's what we want you guys to come and discuss. Now, we have a discount for you guys every single week that we do the podcast. We would like to give you a discount on our 7-day REI Jumpstart course. It's going to be $100 off. We're just going to have that available for this week only. So you can go to our website at freedomlifestyleinvestors.com. Oh, I see I'm missing the N. If you go to our website, you can actually see this physical presentation that we're doing. So if you're listening to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play or Stitcher or wherever you found the podcast at, you can go to our website at Freedom Lifestyle Investors. We have a podcast link there, and you can listen to all our podcasts. And you can actually go to our website, see the videos. You can see us, and you get to see the presentation that we have as we're talking to you. And then you also get to download. We make the presentation that we have downloadable so you can follow along and seriously follow along later and really do the task that we're telling you to do. So we're trying to just give you all the value that we can. So not just hear us through audio, not just see us through video, but also have something that's tangible that you can download and that you can actually follow these steps. So you can actually do it. We actually want to change your life. That's what we're serious about doing.
Yeah, so once again, it's a 7-day real estate investing jumpstart course. It's $100 off for this week only. So definitely come to freedomlifestyleinvestors.com to see about that. And it's a really great course. I actually took the course myself. And we both kind of came up with certain parts, but he came up with most of it. And I kind of went through after the complete course. And guys, it really does work. I know I ended up getting a deal before I even really fully started the class. I ended up getting just a really nice lead. And as far as the contract, things like that, it took me like 17 days to be able to close my first deal. So I thought it was super awesome. So the course really does work. It's very great. It's a 7-day boot camp, so it's really serious. You got homework there every day, some actions that you have to take. So you have to be really serious about taking action with this course. But we're so excited to have you guys on board if you decide to get this. So once again, go to freedomlifestyleinvestors.com. Say no more.
All right, guys. Well, we enjoy our time with you every single week. We feel like now we're getting to know each other. Now we're on our 3rd podcast here, and we're just trying to bring more information to you guys. And I feel like today we feel real relaxed because it's kind of raining outside. It's like a real relaxing day. We're just kind of chilling right now as we talk to you. But we hope that you, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day that is right now, we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We hope you're super productive, not only for this day or this week, for the rest of the year, for the rest of your life. We're hoping that we're changing your life in that way where your production is going to be on times 100 once we're done talking with you guys. All right. So enjoy your day, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Peace.